Hi folks, how you doing? Happy Friday. It's May the 15th. I'm going to show you a little trade review for today. So I had some trades this morning. All of them were scalps, very short-term option trades, same day expiry contracts. And yeah, so let's go over them real quick here. I'll start off by showing you my trade log. So you can see I scalped calls to starting around 950. And I was selling them pretty quick. You can see entering at 950, exiting at 952, then doing the same thing again. In the trade for about a minute at a time here. And then these puts, I stayed in them a little longer. And yeah, so I'm 3 for 3 on the day. The last trade was a little shaky. I had to endure a little bit of that kind of stuff, but the tape kept me relatively confident to stay long those puts at that moment. Let's get into it here. So after yesterday's beautiful bull trend day, we were opening actually a little bit lower today. So basically we're on a lot of the big tech names, we were looking at the hourly higher lows that had formed and the 5-minute higher lows in this sort of trend here. So that's generally what we were looking at. If you look at the NASDAQ chart, you can see how when we had the initial big dump the other day, this was the high of the consolidation that had occurred, and then we came down, broke the low and no fall through yesterday's rally, came up, and we were opening today below the low of the consolidation of the previous dump that we had. So generally there was probably going to be opportunity in both directions today. So if we were going to open down low here, a lot of longs from yesterday were going to be underwater. So that could add to the selling pressure that we might have seen. Now, I'm talking to you here at 11:35, so I don't know what's going to happen later. We might dump into the close, who knows. So anyway, so I was looking both directions, and I wanted to see how the NASDAQ and the S&Ps were reacting around these hourly higher lows that had formed here in the morning. So this is a 26-minute chart, but if you look at the hourly chart, you can see here when we came up, that's our new hourly higher low. That's our new hourly higher low. So you can see that when we came this morning, we were testing this hourly higher low. The low would have been 8944.4. And on the Qs, I'm not sure of the level, but you can just do the equivalent chart. So we caught some buyers in the morning here first thing, and that's generally what I was looking at. So we caught the buyers, and on the SPY 281.05, you can see that low on the 5-minute chart with no follow through. So that's a decent reference point for that hourly higher low because we rallied into the close. So you can see how we consolidated in this sort of wedge formation. In the morning, we attempted to break lower and then failed, and then the bulls took control. So I'll show you some scalps that I had here first thing in the morning. So we'll look at the 1-minute chart, although I don't really look at it that much. I mainly look at the 2-minute and 1-minute, and I use these EMAs as a guide generally. And obviously the tape is a huge guide for determining if there's buyers at a certain level. So you can see this massive rally to start. Now I'm going to use the replay function. We moved up to start, then we had a huge dump, and then a huge rally to squeeze out shorts. So after that rally, I wanted to watch the consolidation. Now this level, 283.31, is the high of the consolidation of the other day's dump. The same level I was talking to you about the NASDAQ. So on the NASDAQ, it's here, 9045.09. On the S&Ps, I can't recall. But the SPY, it's about 283.31. That's that resistance I was watching. So I was watching how we reacted around that level. And you can see that we broke above it to start and then immediately consolidated. So at this point, I'm watching the consolidation coming towards the moving average here. And I want to see if we're going to see sellers push below this higher low that had just formed. So I saw that there was continued buying around this general area. So I decided to take a long scalp there with the stop pretty close by, and the idea behind the trade was going to be just a quick scalp, get in, get out, put a break even stop. And that's exactly what I did. So I got in, I immediately sold half of the position on this pop here, and then I put in a break even stop on the rest. Now I could have sold more for a much higher price, but I decided to just keep the break even stop there. And when we pulled back, because it's same day expiry, the premiums move around a lot, I managed to get stopped out right here on probably the lowest tick there. And then when I saw what happened here, and I saw that we were still finding buyers around this general area, and you can see how this sort of consolidation is no red flags for the bulls. In my opinion, based on the levels that we were looking at on the NASDAQ and the pre-market action, there were some bears that had entered pre-market and overnight. It would make sense that we would push up and test those levels to see if there would be liquidity or not. So that's why I was confident trading with this trend. So the market's trending higher, so I'm going to continue to trade with this trend here. So I re-entered right here the same contracts, and then I immediately sold again right away. Sold, actually this time I sold the whole position because we were coming up to this 285.11 area, which was another key resistance of pre-market. Now again, on the 1-minute chart you can't see it much, but this 285 area is a key resistance. Based on how extended we were, I just decided to lock in the gains at that point, and there were some nice gains on those contracts. We attempted to push again. You can see we double topped right around that level. couldn't even push above it, and then we immediately started to sell. Now take a look here. We're losing the 1 minute trend. Now I prefer to look at the 2 minute for this point. So you can see, look at how we catch the moving average there, and we attempt immediately to move lower. Now I shorted right there, right there. That was not a great entry. And I didn't short when the candle looked like that. In fact, I should have waited for the close of this candle, but I decided to buy some puts on this bear break, anticipating we were going to immediately go lower and squeeze out this sort of liquidity that had entered earlier. But I entered a little too early. Anyhow, it's not a big deal. We finally got a drop, and I managed to cover half right here. My entry wasn't the best, like I just told you, because I entered down here on the puts and on markets, so they weren't, I didn't exactly wait for a patient fill on that one. Anyhow, I managed to get out for profits on half the contract, and then I watched what happened. You can see that we broke here, no follow through, and then I was watching the Qs slowly grinding down. It was around the 220 area, and we had bottomed out. The low was 219.66, and we were kind of chopping within this range here. We basically attempted to break it about 3 times, and then we kept seeing smaller bodies of candles. And then we finally got this break around 1052, which was a correlated break throughout the entire market right here. And the NASDAQ was pretty much leading the way on that one, because it was pretty much, the level was so clear. And when I saw that level break, the sellers really started to take control. On the XLF, it would have been right here at 2103 and 2106. When we saw those levels start to crack with continued selling, it also gave me confidence to stay long these puts. So I got rid of the last one right here after this sort of consolidation right here. So we're looking at the lows, and we're watching to see if sellers are going to come in around the moving average here. I was keeping an eye on how they were performing right around here, around this 280-250 area. And you can see that that would have been just about where that EMA would have been. And if we would have seen aggressive sellers, they would have jumped on it right there. But the sellers were not aggressive at all at this point, and we continued to push higher. So I said, okay, as long as the bids are going to hold, this is a decent area to do some of these long scalps on the SPY. I've seen the S&P consolidate like this a number of times, where after big moves down, we kind of just grind, catch the moving average, try to push lower, no sellers, and then we slowly grind higher and higher and higher. There was a couple of good signals here where you can see where we down twice here, get a couple of lower wicks, and this one right here where we actually broke by a penny. So you can see the low was 282.43, low of this candle 282.42, and that bid held right away, and we found buyers immediately. And my strategy there was going to be to put in a bid at a certain price, and I didn't put it in time, and then I was going to be chasing it, so I wasn't in the mood. But that would have been a nice trade, because I would have caught these options here around 35, 36 a contract, and then they popped really quickly up to 50 a contract. So, and with low risk, obviously, because if you catch them on the bid, they're already sort of underpriced, and then the risk would just be under these sort of lows right here. Anyhow, I didn't catch it. You can see that we tried another time and then failed that resistance, and now we're sort of trying to roll over. Going into lunchtime, I'm not very interested here in this market so far. So those are going to be my scalps for today. I'm up about 7% in the account. So I'm just going to take it and run for today. And I wish you guys all the best. Take care. Enjoy your weekends. Bye.